Welcome to the Spirit of Doom.
Welcome, dear listeners, and gratitude for tuning into another edition of The Spirit of Doom, a bi-weekly show exclusive to Radio Yesterova, airing Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. South African Standard Time with me, David John Wayne Bailey, your host and guide, as we embark upon a journey to bridge the gap between thought and action. Today's topic is a loss in the family. I share a personal tale of loss and how it galvanized me into living a more fulfilling life. A few years ago, I had a cousin called Gavin. He was from Wellington, and what used to happen is every December holiday around this time, Gavin would come to visit and he'd spend a week or two of his December holidays with his family here in Cape Town. Put Cape Town in inverted commas because, yeah, yeah, it was a big city for him, even though it was just in the community. And then just a bit of background on that is that there used to be a game shop on the corner, and we used to get up very early, seeing where we could get 50 cents and 1 rands um, to play to play games. I remember it was Street Fighter and Bare Knuckle 3. And the reason we got up early, literally before the shop opened, was to be first in line because once everyone started waking up, the game shop would fill up quite quickly and there'd be a line to play our favorite games. Anyway, it was a few years after that we got a call early in the morning. My father woke up. I remember waking up as well, because the phone hardly ever rings at 1 or 2 in the morning and you expect to hear good news. I heard my father do something I've never heard him done before or often. He was crying, and it was that crying that racks the inner part of your chest, and it sounded like he was gasping for air. And I asked him what happened, and he said that Gavin had passed away. We found out that it was a fire that destroyed their house in Wellington, and that he passed away along with his sister and her baby. I remember we were at the funeral in the church, and I was already quite sad by the time we got the news. And we're sitting in the church, and it's my father's turn to speak. He gets up, he goes to the pulpit, and while he's talking, a few seconds in, he starts crying. I can't bear the sight of my father crying. That's why I see it so infrequently, I guess. And as soon as he started crying, I started crying. I remember my eyes were so filled with tears that I couldn't really see ahead of me. And the more I tried to make it stop, just more tears started coming. So those tears and snot, and I can't even recall who was sitting next to me, but they gave me a tissue or something to wipe my face and my eyes with. I was asked to be one of the coffin bearers, the people who carry the coffin out. I'm not sure if that's the official term, but I cried since my father stood on the pulpit all the way to carrying the coffin to lowering the coffin into the grave. And I do think about my cousin a lot. A few years later, another favorite cousin of mine, I probably have two favorite cousins, Shane, got the call early hours of the morning again. We actually went to the scene of where Breed is lost, and I saw my cousin laying there in the car he was driving. Won't go into too much gory details because, yeah, viewer discretion. And I just thought to myself, you know what? That's my second cousin. Both were like brothers to me. And also, I remember being at his funeral and I was asked to sing at his funeral. And I tried twice. I failed because there was just too much emotion choking me up. And as I started speaking, tears started rolling down my face again. I told him that Shane, I was quite upset and quite disappointed because I thought that we were the ones that were going to take on the world together. We were we were practically the 300 Spartans, army of two, and we were going to do this. And now that he was gone, I felt betrayed, and I felt that a path my life would have gone on was completely lost to me through death. And I took it quite hard, and I'm sure you took it quite hard as well. And many of you have similar stories to share. But something that has bolstered me over the years is I think it's Latin. The word is memento mori. It means, translated to English, literally remember death. So I get quite excited when I hear the word memento mori, when I utter the word memento mori, when I see it, because we live such finite lives. We never know when our lives will end, regardless of our plans or what we have envisioned for this day or for the future. It can end at any moment just like that. And we have no say over it most of the time. But memento mori, remember death, reminds us that we must live the lives we are given to the best of our ability at all times, because we don't know when it will be taken from us. And that brings me to an excerpt from AVDD, the book I published. And I thought to myself, you know what? This is actually something that I can share with everybody, and it's taken me a while to get to this point. So here we go. A loss in the family. A few years ago, my father got a call early in the hours of the morning. After much crying and sadness, we attended the funeral of my cousin, Gavin, his sister, and her baby. I remember carefree days with Gavin at the game shop on the corner. We were always among the first to show up in order to secure our spot for Street Fighter or Bare Knuckle 3, splashing in the pools with our family members, adventuring up and down the hills and the roads of Wellington. When my father paid his respects at the funeral, he started choking up. My tears wouldn't stop flowing, all the way until they eventually lowered the coffins. Quote of the day: 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Attributed to Mark Twain. Gratitude for tuning into this week's edition of The Spirit of Do with me, your host and guide, David John Wayne Bailey on Radio Yesterday. I look forward to spending some quality time with you again this coming Monday at 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. Oh, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. So feel free to reach out to me via email, david@radioyesterriver.co.za, or Twitter, Instagram at DAVBAI83. That's DavBay83. Till then, keep doing what you're passionate about. Love and inner peace.